Today we got an insanely fun Strand build for you to try out. We're going to be able to have a permanent woven mail as well as a built-in worm husk, so every time we dodge we're going to heal, making infinite tangles that are going to print special and heavy ammo as well as buff our damage output. Then make sure to sit down, relax, and enjoy the video, and consider hitting that subscribe button. Since the weapons aren't as important for this build, we're going to start there. In your primary slot, it's all dependent on what your energy slot is. So there's a couple options. We're mainly focusing on solar and strand, or all strand if you happen to have the tessellation, which I know a lot of people aren't going to spend $100 on the new expansion to get it. But if you do have it, then you want to run the tessellation with like a strand submachine gun or a strand auto rifle. If you don't have the tessellation, you can run the aramite solar fusion rifle or the sunshot. If you're running the sunshot, then you should try to run this fusion rifle. It's a world drop, so it's kind of hard to get, and it's okay if you don't have this combination. You can also run until its return strand shotgun, and if you do run the aramite, then you can also run the quicksilver storm if you have that. And for your heavy, you're going to want to run the thin precipice. You can still craft this currently in the game, or you can just focus engrams and getting the sword and trying to get the roll you want. There's a bunch of different rolls you can get on it that are pretty decent, but the roll that I'm using is Relentless Strike, which is going to give us sword ammo back for landing 3 light attacks, and Collective Action, which is going to work for our tangleds. Whenever we throw a strand tangle, it's going to grant us a stack of period increased damage. This also works for elemental pickups, so your fire sprites, void breaches, stasis shards, and ionic traces. But we're mainly focused on the strand tangleds because we're running a strand subclass. The way we're creating strand tangleds is 2 ways. First way is through our artifact with Thanatotic Tangleds, which says strand weapon final blows have a chance to generate a tangled. So just straight up any strand weapon final blow will have a chance of generating a tangled. Threat of transmutation for a strand fragment, which is while we have woven mail, any weapon final blow can create a tangled. And we are getting woven mail anytime we pick up an orb power. These all stack really well together, and we're going to be printing orbs of power through another artifact perk with the solar strand siphon combo, which you can place in your helmet, as well as firepower. Your grenade final blows can create an orb of power, and heavy-handed, your powered melee final blows can create an orb power, and those are located in your arms. For our exotic, we're running the Foe Tracer helmet. Never thought I'd see this thing again. I'm sure most of you have one in your vault. It has gotten a rework, so now damaging a powerful combatant or guardian with an ability grants you a temporary bonus to weapon damage matching your subclass type. Defeating that target with a weapon matching the damage type of your subclass creates an elemental pickup. So whenever we damage a powerful combatant with an ability, you'll see him highlighted red on your screen, and then it'll boost the damage of any strand weapon, which is mainly for our sword, but also any other strand weapon. And we're also stacking that with collective action, so whenever we throw a strand tangled, our sword's going to get increased damage from that as well as from our Foe Tracer. Now to make this even better, we're using the new strand aspect Whirling Maelstrom, which destroying a tangled, whether you shoot it or throw it, it will leave a violent writhing mass of strand fibers. This mass seeks out and damages targets, emitting unraveling projectiles when it defeats them. It just turns your tangled into this spinny ball of doom that tracks enemies. And we're also pairing that with another artifact perk, Elemental Munitions. Combatant final blows with tangleds or elemental orbs have a chance to drop special or heavy ammo. So whenever we throw our tangled and get a kill with it, there's essentially, I want to say 50% chance it'll drop a heavy ammo brick, and it'll almost always drop a special ammo brick. It's like every other time you do this, it'll happen. But since we're using the Whirling Maelstrom and it seeks out and attacks more enemies, you have higher chances of spawning ammo. So you're pretty much always just stocked up on heavy and special ammo. So you can kind of run your sword as much as you want with this build and not have to worry about running out of ammo. And the sword can work pretty well with the rework because while your charge is up, you can block with the sword and it reduces a lot of damage taken. Also in the artifact, we're using Monochromatic Maestro, dealing elemental ability damage increases matching weapon damage, and elemental weapon damage increases ability damage. It's 10% for 5 seconds. And in that 4th column, there's a few things you might want to run. Elemental Fury. While stunned, champions take bonus damage from your abilities and elemental orbs. If you're not running activities with champions, then you can also use communal pickups. This is for those annoying teammates who pick up your tangle tangles or destroy them and you don't get to utilize them properly, this will reset that cooldown down to 5 seconds so you can have more tangles. And then refreshing pickups, picking up a tangled grants energy for your least powered ability. So all these things stack really nicely together, and the objective is to create a tangled. You throw the tangle's gonna probably kill an enemy. It's gonna start spinning and seek out other enemies. It's gonna do damage over time. As soon as you throw that tangled, your sword's gonna get extra damage. And since we threw the tangled, you can also throw a grenade, which for this I like using Threadling grenade paired with Thread of Evolution to make our Threadlings deal more damage and travel further. And for your other aspect, for Threadlings, you can either have 2 grenade charges or you can run Threaded Spectre to leave that decoy, and when the decoy dies it'll also drop Threadlings. But either way, we got Threadlings, and those are going to deal damage, which is going to proc Foe Tracer, which will make our sword do even more damage, which will also proc our Artifact perk, which will make us do even more damage. So all these damages stacking up, making our sword do a lot of damage. And we're also going to have infinite ammo for our sword, so you can literally just run around like a madman with your sword the entire time and not really worry about it. As far as getting health back pretty easily and creating more orbs, in your class item you should have Powerful Attraction. It's going to collect all nearby orbs of power whenever we dodge, and after we dodge we're also going to spawn an orb of power after we get a weapon kill from Reaper. In our legs we're using Recuperation, which is going to heal us each time we pick up an orb of power. Elemental Charge, whenever we throw a Strand tangled, it's going to give us an armor charge, which is really good because we just throw our tangled and it's going to proc all those damage bonuses for our sword. And we're also using Strand Weapon Surge, so when we throw that tangled we're going to get an armor charge, which will give us more damage through the Strand Weapon Surge. In your chest piece you can run whatever you'd like for whatever resist you're going against, and since we're up close you might want melee damage resist. In our arms we're using Firepower and Heavy Handed, which we talked about earlier. It'll create orbs of power whenever we get a grenade kill or an empowered melee kill. And also Focusing Strike, which is going to grant us class ability energy when we cause damage with a melee attack. There's not a lot of great things in your helmet, you just need to make sure you got that Strand Solar Dual Siphon to make more orbs of power. All these things combined makes for a really fun and interesting build. This build is definitely one of my favorites, and there's a few things you can tweak on it to customize it for yourself, and I'll leave a dim link down in the description below so you can easily copy it if you want, or you can just pause the video at different points and build it yourself. Anyways, thanks for watching and I hope you have an awesome day.